Okay, so another great episode of The Hiring Room. I've got Ganesh Krishnan. And so, Ganesh, welcome to The Hiring Room.
Thank you.
You got it. So I always like to kind of start off with a little bit of a bang here for our first question is, so you have an AI company and you've been in the business for quite a few years. What do you think that business owners today are sort of underestimating right now with the velocity of AI? What's your opinion on that?
I think the velocity of AI, the impact is going to have is probably going to be, many times multiple of the impact that computers had.
Mm.
And there were a lot of, protests against computers. There were lots of revolts against computers, in different parts of the world because they thought automation is going to destroy the human way of life.
Right.
And multiply that by 100x or 1000x, that's the impact AI is going to have. We can already see the impact, in everything. If you go to Amazon to buy, actually, I was buying something on Amazon. Most of the text, most of the images are AI generated. So if you zoom into it, the text are, barely legible.
Interesting. I never thought about that. And Amazon is sort of, I mean, they're sort of the leader. How many robots do they already have at the warehouses? I mean,
Yeah,
they've been on the forefront of this for a long time.
yeah.
Correct?
It's cheap labor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of the scene in Blade Runner 2047, where the guy says every great civilization is built on slave labor. And
Yeah, isn't it a terrible thing to say? Well, at least now they won't be humans. They'll be robot slave labor. That's right. That's the good news.
correct. And that's what he exactly says. We're building our robots now, and this is our next greatest civilization. And I completely agree to that, no matter how offensive it sounds.
Yeah.
It's this layer of, AI is, if we don't play it right, is going to create a world that is much worse than what we have right now. But if we play it right, the world is going to have much more equilibrium and inequality.
I want to get into that with you because I want to see what your opinion is. So, I mean, when I looked at AI Hello before we got, before we decided to do this together, you kind of started this 7 years ago. Now, I don't know what kind of iterations you've had or if you renamed the company or what, maybe we can go into it, but what did you see earlier on that other people didn't? And let me qualify that. I know
Yes.
LLMs have been around for 15 years or so. I know it's in the tech world, it's not new.
Yeah.
But, like, from my perspective, a non-tech person and other people, as you see the last 2 years, were like, "What? Like, what's happening here?" You know? So, what did you see? Like, in your background, I would assume is tech. Did you start out as a computer software engineer, or what did you start out as?
That's right. So machine learning, is pretty old. Actually, it's older than me. Like it was born before I was born. So it's
Yeah.
from the 70s,
Yeah.
and neural networks and everything. They have been there since the 70s. Like in earlier, I used to work with eBay, and they used a lot of machine learning for analyzing the logs. And that was early 2000s, right, 25 years ago. And
Yeah.
then I moved on, to different places. IBM used a lot of machine learning to find out which computer to sell the most, how much to discount. There were other different kinds of, that have always been, in use. That was always, useful to get different kinds of um, but if you go to a hospital, like if someone goes to a hospital and they do a cancer analysis, there's a lot of machine learning. There's a lot of AI used in that. And we've been using it for ages. A lot of, of course, computers, they use machine learning in between. If you use Google Maps, they have a machine learning for predicting the fastest path for a long time. This LLM craze is pretty new, and it's pretty good because that brings a lot of investment, which is good for us. There's a lot of investors ready, and it's getting the interest of the normal people, which is good. You can, educate them that AI can be used for good and it can also be used for bad. It depends on how you use it.
So what happens? They were using LLMs, and I've got, tech friends, and they were explaining this to me. So they were using LLMs. I look at it as like models and forecasting. I always think of it from that perspective as opposed to like machine
Yeah.
learning, right? We've had forecast models in different scenarios forever, right? I mean, Excel was the
Yeah.
big one, and they still use it. But you're saying they kept pouring data. As they get more data, they kept pouring more data to predict, right, for predictability or to predict what would happen with cancer or forecasting or whatever. So
Yeah.
what is the difference, Ganesh, between the LLMs then and the
Yeah.
LLM now? Like, what's the big gap that I don't think people understand? I don't understand. So tell me.
Right. So one thing I'd like to point out is that we didn't have kind of LLMs. Like LLMs, the term is a bit vague. What is the technology behind it? The technology behind it is the transformer model, which is from 2007, 2008. It's probably reasoned, but we have different algorithms in AI. When you think of AI and ML, it could be simple algorithms, it could be simple, statistics, it could be, CNN, which has been there for ages, different algorithms. And this is very critical because to me, in the future, when we have super intelligence, it's not going to be a transformer model. It is not going to be the LLM. It's going to be something else that looks at data and then makes its own decision. So we always had algorithms and we were always going, in a kind of a linear fashion growing up. But the introduction of transformer and self-attention, where, you could process text and spit out, text just like a human. This is what gave it exponential growth. So it's the ability to talk like a human is what made it really, really, big.
Yeah. So with AI Hello, tell me a little bit about, how you solve problems for, and I looked at it, it's mostly, I mean, you were doing stuff on, optimizing Amazon ads, which I need to talk
Correct.
to you about because I have a book that, needs to sell, and Amazon ads is like a black hole. It's like a black
That's
hole
true.
trying to figure it out. You can't figure it out. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about the problem it solves, but are you also doing fulfillment too, or no?
We do kind of fulfillment, but it's not our primary goal. Our primary goal has always been ads optimization, creating campaign, putting the right keyword, transferring the budget, adjusting the budgets, etc.
Okay. And who's the primarily users of that? E-commerce or?
Right. It's e-commerce sellers. But one thing I'd like to point out is most of our AI research and the machine learning team, they do a bit of work on the Amazon as well. But we have something called as a zero hallucination model. When you ask,
Wait, hold on. Zero hallucination model.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. And that is
We call it HAL zero.
zero.
So when you think of, a model like ChatGPT,
Yeah.
if you keep on asking it question and you give it data, right? You give a customer, you give it the spend data, you give it the sales data. As the amount of text you talk, as the amount of context increases, it keeps on forgetting about the previous data and then it
Yes.
starts having,
Yes. I
right?
noticed that
So
with my own chat. So what
yeah,
happens with that? So you're trying to solve that or you have solved it?
that is correct. We haven't solved it, but we're going to do it in a step-by-step process. We're going to first do it with just knowledge-based data and then with numbers and then with logic. So it's a huge part of the puzzle. A lot of the reasons why people don't use ChatGPT in enterprise is because of the hallucination. One small hallucination can set off, a chain reaction that can destroy everything.
It's so interesting because when you say that, because, if it's
Yeah.
learning, it shouldn't do that, right? It shouldn't forget. So I'll give you a quick example. Super simple.
Yeah.
So I'll Chat does a really good job if I take a transcript from like this podcast and I pop it in.
Yeah.
I have my own, project in Chat, and I say, put it into a YouTube summary and format, timestamp, and put my information as about me at the bottom. And I put the information about me in every podcast. It's the same format.
Yeah.
Every time it cannot get the LinkedIn URL correctly for my profile. Every single
Yeah.
time. And so I go,
Yeah.
we're in a project. We've done 22 podcasts. We've built 22 summaries. Why can't you find the link? That's
Yeah.
simple. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it
Yeah.
makes you like, how can I rely on this for something as
Yes.
simple as that? So
Yeah.
you're telling me that's continually a problem.
Yeah. So imagine you have
Cross
1,000 products. If you have 1,000 products, each one of them has different spend. Each one of them have different sales. Each one of them have different performance. You ask it which products are doing good. If you can't get your LinkedIn URL right, how can you trust it to get the right products? Right? It's going to hallucinate.
So do you have guardrails for that? In the what do you do in AI Hello to identify that something might be off with it?
So the way these LLMs work is they have a weight model. They just have vectors inside the weights, which kind of means words. And what we're doing is we're connecting those weights to the words directly. So it's built on top of the data. And we are using a slightly different, model. We're not using transformer models. We're using some kind of a reinforcement model to keep the data in and then give out the spit out the information that you want out of it. We're not trying to build an exactly ChatGPT model, but we're trying to build a model that can take the data and it can give out an information that is very faithful based on the data that has been provided to it.
So, there's this whole trending as you're in it, you're in the thick as a founder of an AI company, tech company, you're in it, right? You're probably
Yeah.
so educated, you have to keep, and it's moving fast, right? So,
Right.
they're talking about the AI replacing the financial people. And, I'm a
Right.
CPA, I don't practice anymore.
Yeah.
So how does a public company
Yeah.
with major compliance rely on that type of process with AI doing what an analyst did, knowing
Yeah.
it can hallucinate?
You can't. The straightforward answer is you can't.
It's interesting. So what is your opinion then on
Yeah,
this whole I'm probably jumping here a little bit, but since we're going down this road, some of the AI, they're calling them oligarchs these days.
yeah,
You know the names. What is, some of these guys are saying, there could be a 20 or 30%. There's this 20
yeah,
or 30% chance that life as we know it will end. There's doomsdayers out there, right?
yeah,
That's a pretty high percent, right? That's pretty high. Well, and then they're talking about a possible 20% unemployment.
yeah.
So with it being still hallucinating, and individuals talking about, oh, it can replace this, a lot of it's hype, I'm sure hype. What's your professional forecast on that before that hallucination stops? Or is a hallucination related to general intelligence? I don't know. What's your take on all that?
Right. 2 points. As a millennial, I've been through 7 world-ending events. Like every time something happens, it's the end of the world. 2000, to Y2K was the end of the world. Computers were the end of the world. 11 were the end of the world. The Middle East war was the end of the world. Gold prices was the end of the world. It's we have lots of drama queens, in this space. But I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. But there is an interesting anecdote, and I posted it on LinkedIn. I don't know if people got it. You bring up the word oligarchs, AI oligarchs. So when I went to Google DeepMind, which is, we had a chat with the guys that invented the transformer. And
Okay.
Google's primary objective is it asked me to apply for the funding from the Canadian government and spend it on the GPU for Google. So Google's primary objective is to make more money from the government, from the startups for his GPU. So it's as any corporation, it's optimized for making more money, right? It's how it is capitalism, right?
Yeah.
It's just making money.
Right.
The models are too expensive. So I got in touch with the Chinese models, Alibaba, Qwen, and DeepSeek and everything.
Yeah.
And I had a long conversation with that team as well, with the tech team from there. We had a phone conference, and their objective is slightly different. They said, we're not interested in making money. We want you to make money, but our primary objective is there are lots of people in the third world who deserve AI as well. Think of people in Cambodia, think of people in Africa. Why do we deserve the best AI and them, not have a good quality of life with AI? So our objective is to reduce the AI price. It's already 90% lower than ChatGPT or Cloud or something with comparable quality.
Which one?
And they said we want
This is which one?
Qwen. So it's Qwen. It's an open source model.
It's called Quen?
Yes, yeah, Qwen.
Quen?
Q.
Okay, and okay, and they're trying to do it for the greater good.
That's what they say.
That's
Like
what they say.
yeah, that's what they say. I don't know if it's true or not, but just talking to them, what is being projected is if you approach Google, they just want the Canadian government money, put it into a GPU, buy our clusters, invest in our clusters. But if we talk to the Alibaba cloud, there's DeepSeek. They were pretty famous, a
Yeah.
couple of months ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I
there's Deep
remember hearing about that myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, we want to keep it as cheap as possible. And we want to give you the model as well. You can download the model, you can run it on a GPU. We want to make it already 90% cheap. We want to make it even 90% more cheaper so that everyone across the world can access this AI just like water. We want to make AI a commodity like water.
Who's
And two
behind
different
it?
mindsets.
Ganesh, who's behind that company? Who's behind it?
If you are in the US, 90% or 99% of your goods comes from Alibaba.
Really?
It's
Really? That's where you're saying
yeah,
that's where the funding comes from?
that's where the funding comes from. Yeah.
Alibaba.
Yeah.
Who runs that fund?
It's not a fund as such. It's a huge company. I think it's one of the largest company in the world. It's probably 10 times as big as, I don't know how many times it's bigger than
Where's it
Apple.
out of? Is it out of the Middle East? I mean, Alibaba?
No, it's out of China.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why we don't hear about that.
All right. I'm learning some things here. I got to go look this up. Okay. So that's China.
Yeah. And if you talk to them, like,
What do you think the motivation is behind it? I mean, you've got China. We know China, right?
yeah, yeah,
One of the the most powerful communistic country in the world.
they disagree with that.
People may say it's more powerful than the U.S. at this point. No,
Yeah, they disagree with it.
what'd you say?
Yeah. They disagree with it. Well, I had a conversation about that as well. We had a bit of a political conversation. They said, and like their actions kind of speaks to it. They're wouldn't know what is going to be the ulterior motive. As of now, it's like, if you buy anything in the US, there's a 99% probability that it's made in China.
Yeah.
Right.
At least before the tariffs. I don't know now, but yeah.
Even after the tariffs.
Even after the tariffs. But think about this, Ganesh. If Alibaba is China based and their goal is to give it free for everybody, and they're kind of saying, I mean, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but this is just my
Yeah.
brain thinking. I just saw an episode of A Diary of a CEO with, and I can't remember her name. She it was a recent episode, you should watch it. And it was a political discussion or her
Yeah.
educating, basically him because he doesn't, he's not he doesn't have a political background. So she was educated because she was a Pulitzer Prize winner. She was an expert in like autocratic empires, basically, like how they
Yeah.
start, how democracy starts to decline, what are the characteristics, how does it start to erode? And so she was kind of just going over that from a worldwide situation. So, in
Yeah.
China, they listen to everything. They control all the media. All the
Mm.
media is controlled. And what she was simulating is that's what's happening here because Trump's trying to, not to get down to political, but he's trying to do that, right? He tries to influence that, tries to put
Yeah.
people in power in those places, have influence them. So it's not as direct as like owning it, but it's sort of
Yeah.
like owning the person that's running it in a way, right? So,
Yeah.
so that lends me to believe, well, if they want to give it away for free through Alibaba and they want to give all this IA free, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to have all the information all over the world.
The app is downloadable, which is true.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
completely agree. Yeah,
Do you know what
I
I mean? I
completely
mean, are
agree.
they gonna spy are they gonna able to spy on every single person in the world if they have this? Because if you've got
Mm.
it on your phone and they're
Yeah.
behind it and it's their technology, why wouldn't they give it away for free if they can
Yeah.
gather all that intel?
Yeah.
I mean,
For
it's
sure.
it's better than having, and then it's better than having a CIA agency
Yeah.
because you're collecting every single thing that's happening. So talk
Yeah.
about getting ahead of it. So I don't know, maybe that's the MO, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know?
I kind of agree to it. That's not a part I would,
So you
debate you
partner
on it.
with some of these kind of companies because of what you're doing, and you guys work
Yeah.
together. So sort of like they want to team with you to use their models, it sounds like, right? And of course, you're
Right.
being cost efficient because you run a business. And so if you can get some of this technology and be able to leverage it for a lower price, you're going to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you do as a business person. Okay.
The, the difference is that DeepSeek and Qwen is downloadable model. So you can download it to your computer and you can run it on your computer so the data does not leak anywhere. The data stays within your computer. So even when I'm traveling on a plane, I install it on my GPU, laptop,
Yeah.
and I run it and it runs. You don't even need
So it's not in
anything.
the cloud at all.
No. So we have our own GPU and we run it.
But don't they
Of course, I
don't
agree with
they
you.
they have some kind of a little pixel in there that's still pulling your information? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a text file. The weight is just the
Israel text spy. That they employ some
yeah,
kind of a little like this little bot that's running around your GPU and you don't know
yeah,
it when you downloaded it. I don't know. I'm probably making some of this up, obviously, but okay. So that's interesting. I mean, what do you all right, so your opinion is look, like we've been through all kinds of different iterations and everything is supposed to take us down. You and your
yeah,
opinion. When I think your opinion is very important because you
yeah,
understand this at a level that the common person doesn't understand, right?
right. Yeah.
What do you think is because if you listen to Elon Musk and you listen to Sam, Big Sam,
Altman? Altman?
yeah, and they're in
Yeah,
a lawsuit right now, which could be interesting to see what
yeah,
happens with that. They're both talking out of two sides of their mouth, but if you listen to them, you know, there's going to be no jobs.
yeah,
Elon's got a bonus for a, a million, I think, robots. He's got like $1 trillion bonus or something if he gets a million robots out. So,
yeah.
what do you like? What do you think of that? Like, what's your gut or what's your knowledge, about general AI just kind of changing everything? Where I worry about because you build a company, I worry about things like, your employees. How many employees do you have?
We have roughly around 28 employees.
Oh, you have a pretty lean team. Are you
Yeah.
leveraging India for that?
We have some in India. We have different actually countries. We are from 5 countries.
Okay.
We have one Canadian employee, two actually.
Okay.
One of them from the US, some from Europe, some from, Egypt, Vietnam, India. So we do have, multiple
Yeah,
countries.
you're like international with that. And India's not as cheap as it used to be, you know? The
It
salaries
depends.
aren't as cheap as, for a really
Yeah.
good tech
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
person. It's not like it was years ago. It wasn't like you can pay them 10 grand a year anymore. It's not like that anymore. It's interesting. So
Well,
when
shocking.
you're looking at your own, internal resources, when you're building that team out, how do you
Yeah.
see AI in your own operation of just
Yeah.
AI? Hell, maybe not like but just the operation of the business. How do you
Yeah.
see AI optimizing your own business outside of your product.
Right. So the first thing is a lot of the graphics and the video work. It has made the content creation immensely, fast. The turnaround time is fast,
Yeah.
good quality. That is the minor thing. The bigger thing is the code and the algorithms and checking the bug for code, edge cases, handling the IT. It's really, really, taken off. One thing I don't believe is it's not going to replace a programmer, but it's going to replace a programmer that doesn't use AI. It
Yeah.
makes things faster, faster to move, faster to
Mhm.
iterate.
Mhm.
There's always things to be done in a software. There's no point we can say we're done with the software. We need to fire up the program. There's always, upgrades to be done.
Yeah, there's this whole thing about we won't need software engineers, but you need someone to guide it. You need someone to make sure it's an audit function, right? Test
Yeah.
an audit function. I don't see how maybe you don't need as many of them
Yeah.
with this vibe coding. What is vibe coding, by the way? They use this word vibe coding. What does that even mean?
So you're just vibing and you're coding. So you just give
What do
it,
you mean? Are you listening to some music? Are you listening to music while you're there?
yep, that's right. I did a few of the vibe coding. So you should give it a try
What do you
and see
mean?
if it
Like, what do
works.
you do? Are you just kind of like trying to be creative? Yeah. What? Tell me how I would tell the audience how you would do that. Us
Right.
non-tech people.
Correct. Give me an idea of an app that you always wanted to build, but you never built because you didn't have too much tech expertise in that
An ad? You're saying
app,
an app?
any app. Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
Ganesh, I built an app the old-fashioned way in 2020, 2019, and I spent a lot of money, and we couldn't raise
Yeah.
money, and we lost a lot of money. So that's so crazy that you could just go on to Claude, right, and do like vibe
Yes.
coding and say, "Let's build an app." That's so crazy to me. The iterations we went through, holy crap.
What app was it?
Gosh, it was really cool, but we just couldn't get the funding for it. Basically, what it did was it was
Yeah.
called GoWare, and basically what it did was it would put together consumers with restaurants, and when
Yeah.
restaurants had downtimes, it would push out a deal that would bring people in. It was like time bound and quantity bound. That would bring people into the restaurant that then they would upsell them. So it was kind of like what restaurateurs call them like down times or down parts of their business, which they always have them. And
Yeah.
so the restaurants on our like when we did our MPV was way too robust. That was the first problem. And we got
Yeah.
it out to the restaurants, and the restaurants were like 100% adoption. They loved it. But it's the consumer side that's expensive to acquire, as you know, in tech, right? And we just couldn't get funded for it. So we spent too much of our own money on the MVP. And so we have some wealthy people we know that could definitely get invested in it, but they weren't tech people. They just were uncomfortable with it. And I think
Mm,
they wanted that traditional young person in their 20s. And I'm like, we have so much experience, we have so many contacts. Why would you not want people like us?
yes.
It didn't make a lot of sense. It was stupid. But yeah, so that's what we did. Many
If you put money into if you had skin in the game, then investors should consider that as a bonus because you have everything on as
we
well,
had
right?
skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had skin because we had money. We were older. We were more established. We had money and we had
Yeah.
contacts. So it's interesting. By the way, that's a long time ago. But so yeah, so to be able to get out and do like vibe coding for an app, and after all the pain and effort I went through, I'd be like, "You got to be kidding me!" Oh my gosh! But I will try it sometime. But anyway, so kind of getting back to you, what do you
Yeah.
think? 5 years down the road, what do you think could look like dramatically different in even business functions, hiring, what do you think's gonna be around there?
Right. And it's my favorite quote. The best way to predict the future is to create it. So whatever you're thinking of,
You wanna manifest it?
yeah, manifest it. Exactly. That's the cool term, that I keep hearing from everyone nowadays, manifesting.
Yeah,
It's a big thing.
it's kinda gotten mainstream a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Project your
So
thoughts and it will be yeah. It's not that easy. You have to have action behind, but it's a good thought.
yeah, I actually like this. I looked into John Wheeler as well. The it from bit theory.
Who?
John Wheeler.
John
Uh,
Villa?
John Wheeler. Yeah,
I
he's
don't
called John Wheeler.
oh, yeah.
He's a student of Albert Einstein. Was the
Really?
Yeah, yeah. He was
Interesting.
he started off this kind of manifestation theory because he won a Nobel Prize for it because he carried on Schrodinger's work. Like you put a cat in a box, you open up the box, the cat is dead. You kill the cat because you looked at it, you kind of you observed it and you killed it.
Oh, kind of that object, like consciousness. He's talking about consciousness then.
Right.
Yeah, and plus Einstein was really big on the quantum the quantum field, which is part of that
Yeah,
whole discussion of manifestation and all information's in the quantum field, and if you can connect to the frequency, I know a lot about it. Yeah, so I'm a meditator. So I do old school Eastern meditation.
I see.
Yeah, I don't
John Wheeler was big on it. John Wheeler was very big on it, and he created this it from bit. He actually won a Nobel Prize for it, I think.
I need to go look him up. So do you know I don't know where are you what part of India you're from?
The South, but
Oh,
I've
you
never
are.
been there. Yeah,
You are from the South. Okay, so you probably know who Sadhguru is, right? If you're from the South?
I heard of him. Yes.
Yeah, so he's the one that I follow, and I've gone through most of his programs.
I see.
So
Yeah,
he teaches and his people teach, um,
yeah,
sort of the ancient kriyas that have to be they're not written down, they have to be passed on and stuff like that. He's kind of the real deal. I look for things. I try to look to see if things aren't real, you know? Like and
yeah,
I'm not very like people I'm not very influenced easily, so I'm always looking for weird stuff.
yeah.
They're the nicest people that are in that group. They feed 5,000 people a day in India through their
Oh,
at his big
yeah.
ashram down there. I'm like, he's the real deal.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah, he's amazing, he's amazing. I know that a lot of Indians in your generation, like, don't buy into the
yeah,
woo-woo stuff, that's what they tell me, it's so funny. I lunched with my friend of mine who's Indian, Pooja, and she was just like, "You know more about it than I do." So
yeah.
I heard that your generation is sort of, like, doesn't believe it and all that stuff, so it's kind of funny, but so you don't have a prediction is what you're saying to me. You're just like, where do you see AI hello in 5 years? Like, where do you see it going? What plans do you have for it?
We have really, really big plans, and it's almost delusional. So the first thing is we're gonna, launch this HAL Zero, which is a zero hallucination model.
You
Uh,
are gonna do that. Okay, so
yes,
you're going way outside what you do as far as e-commerce. This is a whole separate thing. Okay.
that is correct. Yeah, that is correct. And we're actually getting close to release it. So the first release is going to be in a couple of weeks. Yep,
And
we're getting
what
close
would
to
you
it.
use it for? Like, would I bolt it onto my chat to make sure it like, tell me how it works.
Right. So the first use case, which we're going to test if it works or not, is a kind of a personal assistant. It reads your email. It reads your, your meetings that you had, records all the meeting that you had. And then if someone replies to you or sends you an email, it knows exactly what to reply based on the context of all the emails, what you do and everything. It's a kind of a personal assistant.
That's cool.
And it has to be, it has to, of course, not hallucinate. It cannot, think of imagining stuff as well. We released it internally. People are happy with it. It's used within our company with 28 people. We'll probably release it in maybe
I'll
2 or 3
test it.
weeks.
Send it over to me. I'll test it. How would you so someone small like me. So I've got it's just me. I'm a solo recruiter. I think
Yeah,
I'm going to be buying into this. A recruiter built a whole like process, a whole integrated automated AI agent process for recruiting where it uses,
yeah,
it uses Clay, Claude, Lemlist. I don't have to educate you on this. And it's even doing things where on the so it'll do like a market research for you, which takes a lot of time for people like me. It takes a lot of time to
yeah,
market research who you want to go after, who you want to talk to. And email isn't getting the responses in business
yeah,
anymore like it used to from a marketing standpoint. So they're doing like a multi-program project. One of the things they're doing is
yeah,
they've got an I don't know, I haven't gotten into it yet. They've got an agent that can speak like you, that leaves voice messages, memo messages on LinkedIn, and it sounds like you. These are the things I try to do manually, and the problem is you can't be consistent with it. And the consistency what builds the business, the inconsistency what kills you. Yeah.
that's
So if I had this big system where I would one of the things we're doing is and I don't want to talk about me, but we're going to be offering different services besides recruiting, pay me a big fee. We're going to be offering some other offerings where we can shortlist individuals that you can't find, corporations can't find because we've got the tools to find the people. And then we would outreach and we would do that on your behalf and you would pay us a monthly fee to do that. We would just push the people to you and you would do all of the other work. So we're doing
yeah.
sort of like some kind of like little bit of like ladder stuff, but I wonder how that your agent would be helpful for that for me. I wonder how it
Well,
would be helpful.
my agent just looks up the email that you get,
Yeah.
and then it can draft a response. So if someone sends you an email, it knows already the history based on it. And because it's based on the HAL Zero model, it takes the real data and then it builds a custom. So for example, if you have your LinkedIn URL, it knows exactly that your LinkedIn URL is, whatever it is.
And it would learn my writing style. It wouldn't do stupid things like these adjectives nobody uses and M dashes and the word actually, and how it just
That is
plugs
correct.
in all this stuff that no one talks like this. I mean, I've even said to my chat, like, what are you doing? Like, where does this come from? People don't talk like this. Renee, I'm just pulling it. I'm just pulling it from all different sources. And I'm like, I don't know what
Yeah.
sources you're pulling it from, but you need to pull it from my LinkedIn. You need to pull it from the way I'm speaking to you and the stuff that I've
Yeah.
written. There's a lot of stuff I've written out there that you can pull it from, and it can't do it.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And it struggles with that. Hopefully, if we make a breakthrough with this, it's going to be, solid,
Yeah.
big change for us. That's what we are betting on because we are a bootstrapped company as well. Everything is my money that goes in.
Yeah, okay. You don't have any outside funding. Well, keep it that way if you can. Although you
Yes.
grow slower, you know?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with it. I love the team. I work with them.
Yeah.
Nice thing.
What do what human skills do you think are gonna continue to be valuable as we move into this more aggressive AI stage? I worry about
Yeah.
the youth, right? I worry about, have you seen the effects of the career ladder? Everyone's, we can eliminate beginning attorneys, we can eliminate accounting, we can eliminate our beginning software engineers, like the whole entry level ladder seems to be affected by at least or do you think that it's more the AI oligarchs hype because they have to keep raising more money and they want people to believe it? Like, what are your thoughts with that stuff?
It's the truth lies somewhere in between from
Okay.
what I've seen. Like the truth lies somewhere in between. And as I mentioned before, people who don't use AI are going to get left out by it. And when I get on, candidate interviews, the first thing I ask is share your screen and open up ChatGPT. When I ask you question, ask ChatGPT for the question, cheat on the interview. It takes a high level of IQ to be really good cheater. And show me how level of IQ you have, and that is a huge thing, like you could do the same for your recruiting as well.
What do you
Cheat
mean?
on my
You mean
cheat on my
testing
interview.
people? But, that's not really using AI, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
if you're gonna bring someone to your company, you want someone who can strategically look at, "Here's a process that's
Yeah.
inefficient. How are you gonna make more efficient leveraging AI technology?" Like, that's what you want out of people. Now, you're in tech,
Yes.
so it's a little bit different for you, but if you're not in tech, this is the
Yeah.
questions that I've been seeing from people, been hearing about in interviews. But
Yeah.
you're just asking people to see if they're even on it, is your point? Is if they have interests, or what's your point of that?
Not the interest. What I'm seeing is, are they able to think strategically and communicate what is the problem to ask the question ChatGPT in a very easy way? So it's the question that matters, not what the
The
answer came from
prompt.
it. Yes, the prompt. The prompt is the question. Is their thinking?
Got it. So what have you found? So give me an example. This is really interesting because this is getting into my interview stuff. So tell me specifically what you do.
Right. So one of the latest interview that I had was performance marketing.
Okay.
And I just interviewed in a couple of weeks ago, a couple of candidates, and I asked them the question, open up ChatGPT. I don't want to see the answer to what ChatGPT gives, but I want to see how you think. Now, here's my problem. I have X budget and I have Y time, and these are the list of channels,
So
right?
you gave him a case study in the moment,
Yes.
basically. Okay.
Yeah. Give me an answer. You can either use ChatGPT, you can use your own intelligence, you can use Claude, you can use a mix of it, but give me a rough thinking plan of how you plan to tackle it. Half of them said, I don't need ChatGPT, I can use my own intelligence. Half of them use ChatGPT. It doesn't make a difference. But they gave a feedback like, if I had, $10,000, I would put 4,000 into Google search, 2,000 into, Meta ads, stuff like that.
See, now, not
But
even be a marketing person, I would say, Chad, here's my parameters. Here's what I have.
yeah,
I have this kind of bucket of money. Here's my different channels I need to do. This is what the business does. This is what the business is doing. If I want to optimize my allocation of funds for my return for my
yeah.
customers, what would that plan look like? That's what I would have done. If you asked me, that's what I would have done.
But what's one important question missing? I didn't say in the interviews, but I expected them to ask because ChatGPT won't ask, what is the long-term value of the customer? Everything depends on the long-term value of the customer, how much you want to spend.
What is the long-term value of the customer? Meaning, what is your acquisition cost per customer? Or what,
What is the revenue?
how much that is a customer going to spend?
How much the customer is going to make for us? How much can we earn from the customer?
Right.
Which is very important.
Yeah, because you'd have to look at your margins of what you would spend per customer.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everything depends on this. If you just blindly ask ChatGPT, it's going to give you an answer. Spend $200 on this, spend CPC3 of this. But none of it makes sense unless you push back and you ask me,
So would a
what is the
marketing
value?
person would know that? Should they know that?
They
Because
should know.
I'm not a marketing person. I'm just going
Yeah.
by common sense, right? Like, just
Yeah.
reasoning what you would need to do. So half
Right.
of them said that? That's kinda
Yeah.
stupid, Ganesh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's not being
Yeah.
very sophisticated in this market.
Yeah.
You know, I tell my
You have
people,
to.
"You better be ready because I'm getting feedback that the first thing out of
Yeah.
CFOs and CEOs' mouth is, 'If you came to my company, how would you leverage AI?'" Very general questions.
Yeah.
Very general. So I may not have a plan where I can say I would implement this, but I'd probably say something like, "Well, I haven't been in your business yet. I would need to figure out what your processes look like, and I'd have to map your processes, and I'd have to go see where the efficiencies where we could get,
Yeah.
and then I'd have to go research the tools that are out there to see what we could do to build it to be efficient for your output and what was also
Yeah.
cost effective, and if we could
Right.
eliminate headcount." And that's what they want to do. They want to eliminate headcount. They want to eliminate headcount. Well, so
For
which
sure.
brings me to the question, what do you think
Yeah.
this is gonna do to the ladder of the career, the career ladder?
It's very hard to say, like we've seen juniors join our company and use AI a lot. They find security, holes, they fix patch. They're very all in on AI. And I'm very happy with them. They're very junior, but I'm very happy with them. And there are seniors, who are obstinate of the way things work because it has always worked like that. And they refuse to go into this AI. And they're not old people. They are experts who have been doing a certain way for, 4 or 5 years. They are less than 30, but they refuse to
They're
go into
that
AI
young?
because
They're that young
yeah,
and they're refusing to do it?
yeah,
Yeah, you expect that of people that are 50 plus or something because
yeah,
it becomes more difficult to learn as you age if you don't continue to learn. So I always think
yes.
like, is that a lazy characteristic or is it someone who's not inquisitive or
It's a,
curious? Like what do you see with that?
it's a threat model. So if a person perceives that this could potentially take away my job, they refuse to, go in that direction because they think, like they always find excuses that a machine can't do what we do for sure, but
So it's
machine can
fear.
help you.
It's so you
Yeah,
think it's fear-based.
it's fear based. Like if you want to go from Toronto to Vancouver, like you would use a car, then you would use a bike, then you would walk. You're not going to say machine is going to take away my job, so I'm going to walk from here to Vancouver. You have to use whatever is available.
Right. I mean, that's a good analogy. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. So let's talk about AI adoption.
Yeah,
You know, it's a big topic out there. I have a couple of, pretty good friends that are in that space that go into, and some of the numbers I heard were out of the AI budget for a company, they're only spending about 6% of that budget on AI adoption on the people to train the people and for the adoption. And
yeah.
you're talking about adoption right now. I mean, right? So we're talking about
No.
adoption. What other things you think are the pushback for the adoption for people? Because it sounds like it's not as age related as I thought maybe it would be.
There is a very interesting story I heard from some of the guy. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
A long time ago, there was a new airport that opened up outside of London to outside of New York, and it's one of the most busy routes. So travel agents could book, their businessmen, their clients
Yeah.
from outside of London. Very, easy to travel, not crowded at all. You could go from, outside of, you go outside of London. I don't even know. I think it was Gatwick, and then you go outside of New York. Probably New Jersey, and it's a shorter flight, relaxed, not much, traffic, easy airport, and it was supposed to be a huge success. Few years down the line, the entire thing fell off. It was stopped. No one was booking. It went through logically. It was actually the right thing to do. You save so much on time, cheaper. Airport is, free
Yeah.
for too many people. And what they found out, and I think it was Richard Branson that went bankrupt due to that.
Okay.
And what they found out was there were lots of, travel booking agents. Their objective is not to reduce the time or give comfort to the clients. Their objective is to keep doing whatever they were doing. Because if they did something else and if it goes wrong, then the client is going to come back and ask them, idiot, why did you book me from an airport that is outside of London? But if something goes wrong in Heathrow, then they're not going to blame the agent. They're going to blame Heathrow, or something is wrong with Heathrow.
Interesting.
So who takes the blame? So with AI, like when you introduce new process like this, and if something goes wrong, then people will be like, why did you move from our current methodology to this AI methodology? It disrupted everything. So there's a lot of fear-based, methodology on this, even though the benefit from it far outweighs, leaving it behind. But I noticed it in our company. I noticed it everywhere else. There is a pushback from certain people. There is a push forward from certain people. At some point, someone has to give way.
So you think it's I mean, this is what I'm hearing. You think it's a level of comfort and responsibility then?
That's right. Yeah.
So if you're trying to adopt it directly and you fail, there's no other person to really point towards
Yeah.
but the person who's implementing or adopting is what you're saying to me.
Person
Interesting.
who pushed
That's interesting. I mean, it's normal for people want certainty, so it's normal for them to push back on something so foreign.
Yeah.
I also think I don't know if all of this I don't know what the AI empire's goal is to they're expressing fear to the general public in a way,
Mm,
right? So if you tell the general public there's gonna be a 20 or 30% unemployment after AI adoption happens because we're not
yeah.
gonna need all these people,
Yeah.
why would people wanna adopt it?
I could spend maybe 2 hours talking about it. It's a very long conversation to have. And I think it goes into fairness of the society, equality of the society, and UBI. Those are the things I like to talk about.
Yeah.
But you're right. A lot of the people are scared. They're like, what if I lose the job? And they're trying to, keep it away as much as possible, push it back as much as possible. The oligarchs are to blame, actually. A lot of them is to, it falls directly on them.
What do you think about the rhetoric? The oligarchs' rhetoric, the AI oligarchs. Like, what do you think about
Yeah.
the rhetoric? I mean, you're a very successful man in this. I mean, you understand this at a level that the general people don't. I mean, who knows? I don't even know. You may know these guys or been in the rooms with them. But what is your
Yeah.
take on it? What is their objective? What's in their head?
It's hard to know what's in their objective, but I can know for sure that a lot of it is just trumped up stuff. It's not genuine. It's just delusional, confidence about what is going to happen in the future. No one knows the future. It's like a cow in the middle of a road trying to predict where the human is going to go. I don't think, they can predict what AI is going to do. But a lot of it is just overblown paranoia and a kind of a delusional confidence that they are going to be the one controlling all of AI right now, which is kind of scary. If a person like Zuckerberg or Google is controlling everything, that is worse than China spying on us. That is much worse than China spying on us.
Yeah, I mean, if they say there's going to be 5 people in the US or the world that is going to
Yeah,
control everything, then now you've got kings now you do have kings and slaves. And
yeah,
like what are they calling it? They're not calling it the general income. What are they calling it?
the peasants,
Huh?
the king and the
Yeah,
peasants,
no, the income they're going to give to everybody to equalize
the
things.
UBI.
The U Right, the UBI. So you're going to decide how much money you're going to give me out of your bucket of gold.
Yeah,
But who
yeah,
are you gonna sell your products to when the people don't have any money to buy them? No one's talking about that. How is the exchange going to work here?
yeah,
So if people don't have the money to buy your products and they don't have jobs to buy your products, then
yeah.
how you have nothing to buy. There's no free commerce. So how are you gonna do this? So it's a really interesting thing. And then I really believe, I don't know how you feel about this, but I really knew that was the only way to guard against this type of a future with these people in power is to have some legislation guardrails with it. And you're starting to see it a little bit, right? They've got to get these guys in check a little bit. You're starting to see it in Illinois, you're starting to see it. I don't know what Canada's doing, as of course, Illinois it's by state.
Yeah.
But for instance, in 2025, there was a law passed in Illinois that it's illegal for a company to market a chat, an AI agent as a licensed therapist or a licensed doctor,
Yeah.
So you could maybe still do it in a way of, maybe market it in a different way, saying it's not a therapist, but if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Mm,
So they're starting to go after some of that stuff that needs licenses and has a lot of responsibility and HIPAA stuff. I mean, this is serious, you know?
yeah.
So I think you're gonna start to see some guardrails, but then the other argument, Ganesh, is these guys have all the money for lobbying and the influence, right?
I'd like to disagree on this that these guardrails are protecting because these hurt the smaller businesses, but these don't hurt the really people at the top.
You mean the
Because what
guardrails don't hurt the what do you mean it hurts the small business?
they hurt the small businesses, that therapists that want to use, ChatGPT for some of the help. And for a lot of the people that are, that use ChatGPT for talking, they find it immensely useful to talk and then, get feedback on their emotional thoughts and everything. And if you stop it from doing, then the people are going to be the worst affected. The people can't use it. And that's where DeepSeek and everything, the deep model that you can just download and run it on a GPU is going to just win through it. In my opinion, guardrails like this are counterproductive
Hmm.
because they don't stop people like Zuckerberg, or Google from expanding the reach. They can always use it for everything else. They can package it as something else sell it as enterprise. They can do whatever they want. You're not stopping the rot at the top. You're trying to, nip away the rot at the bottom of it.
I never thought
Um,
of it from that angle. You're saying they have so many resources and so much influence, it's not gonna affect them at all.
that is
It's
correct.
gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna limit the little guy to not be
And
able to
the
be
general
competitive
the consumers.
and the
You
consumers.
can't tell me that I can't use ChatGPT for therapy. If I have some issues, if I'm in a some kind of a stress, ask how do I handle my team? I'm stressed. How do I do it? And if it says I can't give you any therapy, then like what am I using AI for?
No, I think it's more I think it's not that. I think it's more that someone can't market a specific AI chat saying it's a therapist. Does that make sense? You can still
Yes.
chat what you want. I don't think it's gonna limit that. It doesn't limit that. It's saying you can't
Yeah.
market it as a substitute for it, right? There was one that was marketing as that it was a like you were speaking, like it was a doctor. And
Yeah.
they lost it. I'm like, "You're not a doctor, you're not licensed, you can't be
Right.
putting" right? So, I think they have to
Yeah.
be really careful, to your point of hallucination,
Yeah.
you gotta be careful. Like,
Yes, for sure.
you know what I mean? You can't be going on this and then just relying on what this ChatGPT says about your health.
Yeah.
That could be incorrect, you
Yeah.
know?
That addresses a different part of the problem, of the societal problem, which is incorrect, diagnosis. That's a different problem. It doesn't address the fact that a lot of the power of AI lies with a few concentrated individuals. That is what we need to address first.
Yeah.
And I noticed with Google and Facebook actually banned one of our business account and we can't get any, customer support on it. Their AI bot accidentally thought something was related to something else posted by one of the moderators. A human can see that it is not right. I think it was like the reviews have bombed,
Yeah.
right? The product reviews have bombed. Someone left a comment saying that the reviews have bombed, but AI looked at the word bombed and it's like put it as a stuff, and you could see like a human would guess the reviews of bombed is a legit expression.
Yeah. But it didn't pick
Yeah,
it up.
it didn't pick it
And
up
then
and
you
it
couldn't
banned
get
that.
any service, you couldn't get anybody to talk to.
Facebook doesn't give any customer support. They just ban 16 years of your entire social history, your group, your business, but they kept the ads running. So they charge money for the ads, but everything else is shut down. The page is
That's
shut
so
down. The group is
crazy that you
that is
cannot get somebody.
yes. Yeah.
I don't understand this. That for
Yeah.
me is almost I tell you what, you wanna win the race? Have some customer service back.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
they want it costs them money.
It's unbelievable. I know
Yeah.
you can't get a human being if something happens on that stuff.
Can you imagine your life is dependent on the AI? Everything is dependent on AI. Your entire history is on AI. And one day you talk something like this. This is shit, like I want to kill that person, in outrage, as you do. And then it blocks everything. You can't access your Gmail. You can't access your photo because you are a threat to the society,
Oh my gosh, and there's no one to call to help you with it.
yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is I don't know, it's really interesting. It's exciting in some ways, especially for
Yeah.
small businesses that don't have a lot of resources. If they learn to leverage it, they could really make a lot of money, do things they
Yeah.
normally couldn't do. And then you have these things that you don't think about where you're like, I just got locked out. What do I do now? You know?
Yeah.
And
That's why
your whole business is dependent on it.
Yeah. That's why the power must be distributed. That's why I don't mind, using downloadable, text, LLMs and using them because I don't want to give, power. Power has to be equally distributed among the people. Download your own model, use it on your laptop. Real democracy. It's funny, US is one of the most capitalist country in the world and it has only one e-commerce site, Amazon. Very few media people. It's just controlled by 4 or 5 people. Very few AI and all of it through API. There is no real downloadable API. It's all very few politicians sitting on both sides of it, but they get from the same lobby. Lobbying is legal. It's supposed to be capitalist country, but when you look at it, everything is in the opposite of what it is.
Well, I think there's been a slide with it. I think there's been an erosion of it. And I think that's what bothers me with AI so much and these oligarchs is
Yeah.
because it's making the slide worse. It's like
Correct.
sliding I think it's sliding faster because of it, you know?
Correct.
I mean, just
That's
like
my
this
point.
lawsuit with open ChatGPT was OpenAI. The reason it was OpenAI was supposed to be a non-for-profit for the greater good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know? It should
Yeah.
be there for the greater good, but it's not. It's interesting. I know we're getting out done on time.
Yeah.
So you're it's awesome. You're such a wealth of information, Ganesh. I really appreciate I just really appreciate I could talk forever. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about that we didn't? I know we hit a lot of things, but
there's a lot to chat about, like you can go to the philosophical side of, post AI society, how it's going to be, but that would take, hours and hours of talk.
I still like to hear. Maybe we could do part 2 because I'd like to hear what you have to say about it. I tell you what, I would like to hear what you have to say about it. But and lastly, do you think it's gonna affect that career ladder? Can you see that? Because you think about what you learned as a
Yeah.
young person, right? I'm older than
Yeah.
you, but you're not 22, you know? You've been
Yeah.
around a little bit. So all those things that you learn as a young
Yeah.
person, you're gonna have the senior people like yourself, myself, and maybe even people into their 30s who've got enough behind them where they're gonna need those people with
Yes.
their knowledge and oversight, right? But
Yes.
the things that AI can actually replace somebody with, the entry level analyst, maybe the entry level software engineers, whatever. They're talking about paralegals, entry level
Yes.
legal individuals. All those skills are who's going to replace? Who's going to replace
Yeah.
that top?
People with communication skill who can express themselves really well.
And you know
They're
what's
going to keep
scary
it.
about that is there's so many people that
Yes.
can't.
Yeah.
The soft
Yeah.
skills that they're talking about, the soft skills are going to become more important. I mean, that's always been what separated people from getting into executive positions, in the leadership positions. People who could communicate, build relationships, build trust, always were the ones, even if you weren't the smartest person, could always escalate quicker. But some of that can be learned, but there's some
Yeah.
people that are never going to be good at it. And with the kids growing up behind the screens and not
True.
out, that's not
Yeah.
gonna be helpful, and I'll tell you what, we run a group I run a women's group in Chicago, and it is like pulling teeth to get those people, like, to come to a live event.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
No.
pulling teeth to get them to go through the traffic, spend their time away from their
Yes.
families, truck down there after, like, a long day, and they're just
Yeah.
they don't wanna do it. They're like, I don't want it bad enough to actually spend that effort." So it's an interesting thing that's happening, but well, you're awesome. Thank you for coming on the
Likewise.
Hire Room, Ganesh. Maybe we'll have part 2 on what the post AI world's gonna look like. That would be great, and,
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee.
Thanks for joining me in the Hiring Room. If you like the podcast, please subscribe below and share this episode with someone you think that would benefit from it. We're always looking for good people to interview. So if you have a referral, comment below, or you can email me at renee@mseedinc.com. Thanks. Till next time.